In a quiet corner of the galaxy, humans were known as simple, insignificant beings. They had no great powers or advanced technology like the alien races around them. They were seen as weak, easy to control, and easily overlooked. However, deep within the history of Earth, there was a secret one that had been hidden for centuries. A secret that, if ever discovered, would change everything. A young scientist named Elena discovered this secret. She had spent her whole life studying ancient human texts, believing there was more to Earth's past than anyone realized. One day, while searching through forgotten archives, Elena found something strange. An old, dust-covered book written in a language no one had been able to understand. At first, it seemed like gibberish, but something about the book called to her. It was as if it was meant for her eyes only. As she worked to decode the strange symbols, Elena began to unravel a story that no one had ever heard before. Humanity, in its early days, had been far more powerful than anyone could have imagined. They were not just another race in the galaxy. They were the creators of an ancient, incredibly powerful technology that could reshape the universe itself. This technology had been hidden away, sealed under layers of secrecy and forgotten for thousands of years. The book spoke of a weapon, an ancient power that was woven into the very DNA of humanity. It had been buried deep beneath the surface of Earth, protected by a powerful force. Elena couldn't believe what she was reading. Was this true? Had humanity once been the greatest force in the galaxy? As Elena continued to study the texts, strange things began to happen. She started having vivid dreams of a time long ago when humans were rulers of the stars. The dreams felt real, as if she were reliving memories that were not her own. She saw powerful humans wielding unimaginable abilities, powers that could crush entire civilizations with a single thought. The dreamers in the visions were not just humans. They were something more, something ancient, and something dangerous. But the dreams were not the only strange occurrences. Elena soon realized that she was no longer just reading about the power of humanity, she was starting to feel it herself. Small things at first, an unexplainable burst of energy that made her heart race, a sudden rush of strength that seemed to come from nowhere. She tried to ignore it, but it was becoming impossible to deny. There was something inside her, something powerful, and it was waking up. One evening, while experimenting with a new method of unlocking the book's secrets, Elena's world changed forever. The ground beneath her feet shook violently, and the walls of her lab cracked open. She had unwittingly triggered something hidden deep within the Earth. A vast, ancient energy source that had been lying dormant for eons had been awakened. The entire world trembled as this force came to life, and Elena realized that humanity's power was no longer a secret, it was real, and it was now in her hands. But with power came danger. The moment the energy surged, Elena's discovery did not go unnoticed. Across the galaxy, ancient enemies who had once feared humanity's power began to stir. These were the races who had once tried to destroy humanity and wipe them from existence. They had thought humanity was weak, but now they realized their mistake. The humans were more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Soon, Elena was not alone. Other humans, like her, began to awaken to their hidden abilities. Some tried to control it, using their newfound powers for good. But others, those with darker ambitions, saw this power as a tool to rule the galaxy. And among them, there was one person, someone close to Elena, who seemed to understand this power better than anyone else. Someone who had always been by her side, but who now seemed to be pulling away, hiding something from her. Elena could feel it. The danger wasn't just from outside. There was a traitor among them, someone who would stop at nothing to seize the power for themselves. The galaxy was on the brink of war. Elena had to make a choice. Would she use the power she had unlocked to protect humanity, or would she fall prey to the darkness that threatened to consume them all? The fate of the galaxy rested on her shoulders, and the more she learned, the more she realized just how little she understood. The power humanity had once wielded was beyond anything she could control. It was alive, and it had its own plans. As enemies closed in, and the threat of betrayal grew, Elena found herself facing a terrifying truth. The weapon was not just a tool of destruction, it was alive, and it had been waiting for the right moment to awaken. That moment was now. Humanity's hidden power had been unleashed, but with it came a choice to control it or to be consumed by it. The tension grew with each passing day, and the whispers of betrayal grew louder. Elena had to uncover the truth before it was too late. Would she be able to stop the forces gathering against her, or would humanity's legacy of power be their undoing? As the galaxy watched, unsure of what would happen next, one thing was certain: humanity was no longer the weak species it had once been. They were the galaxy's ultimate weapon, and the universe would never be the same again. For as long as anyone could remember, humans had always been small players in the vast galaxy. Other species dominated the stars, with their advanced technology and powerful abilities. Humanity was known for its creativity, its resilience, and its potential, but no one ever thought of them as truly powerful. At least that's what they believed until one day, everything changed. It started with a quiet discovery. Alex, a young archaeologist, was digging through the ruins of an ancient city on Earth, a city long abandoned and forgotten. He was used to finding old relics, but this time, something felt different. Deep beneath the ground, Alex uncovered a small, strange object, almost like a key, covered in symbols he'd never seen before. The moment his fingers touched it, he felt a jolt of energy, sharp and strange, like electricity coursing through his veins. At first, Alex thought it was just his imagination. He was alone in the ruins, and the excitement of his discovery might have made him feel dizzy. But when he looked closer, he saw something that made his heart race. The symbols were not just random. They formed a message, a warning. It said, "The secret is buried, waiting to awaken." Alex wasn't sure what that meant, but he had a nagging feeling deep inside. He knew this discovery was not just a simple artifact. It was something more, something important. He decided to take the object back to his lab for further examination. Little did he know, that decision would change everything. As Alex worked on decoding the mysterious symbols, strange things began to happen. He started experiencing vivid dreams, dreams of an ancient civilization. In these dreams, he saw humans unlike any he had ever known. They weren't the weak, small species he had learned about in history books. These humans were powerful. They controlled vast technologies, weapons capable of destroying entire planets, and they ruled the stars. But the dreams were not just stories, they were memories. Through these dreams, Alex began to understand that humanity's true past had been erased. The humans he saw in his visions were the ancestors of today's people. Thousands of years ago, they were the greatest force in the galaxy, wielding unimaginable power. But something happened, a disaster, a betrayal, and the humans were forced to hide their legacy, sealing their power away. As Alex uncovered more of the secret, he found himself drawn into a world of danger. There were others, people who knew about humanity's true past and wanted to keep it hidden. These powerful beings were not just watching him, they were hunting him. Alex soon realized that unlocking the secret of humanity's legacy was not something everyone wanted. Some feared what would happen if humans regained their lost power. Others saw it as the key to their own rise to power. The closer Alex got to the truth, the more dangerous things became. His friends started acting strangely. People he had trusted for years began to withdraw, their eyes filled with suspicion. One night, he found a note left for him, a warning: "Stop. You are digging up more than you can handle. Leave it alone, or you will bring destruction." The note was signed with a symbol he had seen in his dreams, a symbol that matched the markings on the mysterious object he had found. The realization hit him like a storm. Someone close to him knew more than they were letting on, and that person was part of a group trying to stop him from uncovering the truth. But Alex couldn't stop. He couldn't ignore the call of the past. He had to know what had happened to the humans of old. He had to understand what they had done, why they had hidden their power, and why it had been buried. As he dug deeper, Alex discovered the truth: humanity's ancient ancestors had created a technology so advanced, so powerful, that no other species could match it. They had crafted weapons capable of reshaping entire galaxies. But as they grew more powerful, they began to fear their own creations. There was a war that shattered their civilization. The power they had unleashed destroyed everything, and in the end, they sealed it all away, hoping to never use it again. But the legacy didn't die. It lay dormant, waiting. And now, it was calling to those who were ready to unlock it. One fateful day, Alex was approached by a figure from his past, a mentor, someone he had always trusted. The mentor confessed the truth. "I knew about the power all along," they said. "I tried to stop it before, but it was too late. It's in your blood, Alex. The legacy is yours to awaken. You are the key to what happens next." Alex was stunned. His entire life had been a lie. The mentor revealed that humanity was not weak. They were the original rulers of the galaxy. But their enemies, the alien races who feared their power, had hidden this truth from the world. And now, those same enemies were watching Alex, waiting for him to make his move. The decision was in his hands. Alex had two choices: to unleash humanity's power, taking control of the galaxy once more, or to bury it again, locking away the legacy forever. The world, the galaxy, would be forever changed, no matter what he decided. But there was one final twist. Alex was not the only one who knew the truth. A shadowy organization, hidden in the deepest corners of the galaxy, was ready to take control of humanity's legacy. They had been watching Alex all along, and they would stop at nothing to make sure that humanity's power would remain in their hands. The clock was ticking, and the truth was no longer just a secret, it was a weapon, and it would decide the fate of the universe. The galaxy had long forgotten the war. The battles, the bloodshed, the destruction, it all seemed like ancient history. Humans were now a peaceful race, living quietly among the stars, content with their place in the universe. But deep within the hidden archives of a forgotten human colony, a truth long buried was about to be revealed. Maya, a young historian, had always been drawn to the stories of humanity's past. She had heard whispers of a time when humans were more than just survivors. They were warriors, soldiers who had fought in a galactic war that had torn the universe apart. But no one seemed to know the details. It was as if the war had never happened, as if it had been erased from history. One day, while sorting through old records in a dusty, abandoned library on a distant colony, Maya discovered something strange. A hidden file, buried under layers of security, appeared on her screen. It was titled The Forgotten War. Her heart skipped a beat as she opened it. What she found inside was far more than she had expected. The war had not just been a conflict between nations, it had been a war that almost ended everything. And humanity had played a key role. The files told a story of a time when humans were at the forefront of a galactic conflict. They had fought not just for their survival, but for the survival of all life in the galaxy. They had been the ones to take the first step in the war, standing up to an alien force that sought to destroy everything in its path. The war had been brutal, with entire planets destroyed, civilizations wiped out. But humanity had been a beacon of resistance, fighting back with an unmatched fierceness. Yet something had gone horribly wrong. As Maya read on, she discovered that the war had ended in a way that no one had expected. Humanity had not won. In fact, they had lost. But it wasn't the enemy that defeated them, it was their own power, their own weapons. In the final battle, humans had unleashed a weapon so powerful, so dangerous, that it destroyed everything in its path, including their own civilization. The galaxy had been plunged into chaos, and the survivors had sealed the truth away, hoping that it would never be uncovered. Maya couldn't believe what she was reading. The war had been forgotten, erased from history, and yet the remnants of it were still out there. She had uncovered a piece of the past that no one was meant to know. But as she continued to read, she realized that the story wasn't over. The weapon, the one that had destroyed everything, was still out there, and it was calling to her. Days passed, and Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. It started with small things: shadows in the corner of her vision, strange noises in the halls of the old colony, a feeling of being followed wherever she went. But then it became clear. She wasn't the only one who knew the truth. Someone else, or something else, was aware of her discovery. Late one night, as she pored over the files, a message appeared on her screen. It was simple, but it sent a chill down her spine. "You have found what you shouldn't have. Leave now, or you will not survive." The message was followed by an image of face, one she recognized from the old records. It was the face of a leader, one of humanity's great generals during the Forgotten War. But this face was not smiling. It was cold, threatening, as if warning her to stay away. Maya couldn't stop now. The mystery was too big, too important. The war, the weapon, it was all connected. She had to know what had happened. But every step she took, the danger grew closer. She began to feel the weight of the past pressing on her, as if the very fabric of reality was shifting around her. The war wasn't just forgotten, it had been buried for a reason, and that reason was beginning to unravel. One evening, as Maya left the library, she found herself face to face with a man she had never seen before. He was tall, with dark eyes that seemed to pierce through her. There was something familiar about him, yet he was a stranger. Without a word, he handed her a small device, a recorder. The screen flickered to life, showing the same face from the message she had seen earlier, the general. But this time, the general spoke. "Humanity's greatest weapon is not just a tool of war," the voice said. Its tone serious, it is alive. It has been waiting for the right moment to awaken. And you, Maya, have triggered it. The device went black, and the man was gone. Maya stood there, frozen, trying to understand what had just happened. The general's words echoed in her mind. It is alive. The weapon wasn't just a machine, it was something more. Something that had been waiting for centuries to be released. As she pieced everything together, Maya realized the truth was worse than she could have ever imagined. The weapon from the Forgotten War had not been destroyed. It had been hidden, sealed away by the very people who had once used it. And now, it was waking up, ready to unleash its fury once again. The enemies of humanity, the ones who had forced them to bury the weapon, were still out there, searching for it, waiting for it to awaken. They knew that if it fell into the wrong hands, it could destroy not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Maya had become the key to unlocking this power, and she was not the only one looking for it. The Forgotten War was not truly over. It was only just beginning. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a deadly alien invasion was sweeping through star systems, leaving destruction in its wake. Entire civilizations had already fallen, and the few survivors scattered across the galaxy were beginning to lose hope. The alien fleet was too powerful, too vast, and no one seemed able to stop them. Every planet they encountered fell within days, its people wiped out in brutal raids. On one of the last human colonies, a small group of survivors made their way through the crumbling remains of their city. Among them was Captain Kira, a hardened soldier with a reputation for keeping her team alive. The colonists had been prepared to surrender to the alien forces, thinking there was no way to win, but Kira wasn't one to give up easily. "We can't keep running," Kira said, looking around at her team. "There's got to be a way to fight back. We need to find a weapon, something powerful enough to stop them. And I think I know where it is." Her words gave the group a small spark of hope. But Kira's plan wasn't just risky, it was nearly impossible. She believed there was a hidden weapon buried beneath the surface of the colony's old ruins. This weapon, an ancient technology of human origin, had been forgotten by the galaxy's civilizations. It had the power to wipe out entire fleets, and for years, no one had even known it existed. The team, though small, was determined to follow Kira's lead. Together, they ventured into the ruins, careful to avoid the enemy patrols. Every step felt like a race against time. If the aliens discovered their movements, there would be no escape. But Kira's instincts told her this was their only chance. They had to find the weapon before it was too late. As they navigated the ruins, Kira's mind raced. She couldn't help but think about the stories she had heard as a child. Stories of an ancient, forgotten human empire that had once ruled the stars. These tales were dismissed as mere myths by most. But now, in the face of the alien threat, Kira began to wonder if they might be more than just stories. Could humans have once been the most powerful force in the galaxy? And had they left something behind, something so powerful it could turn the tide of the war? Finally, after days of searching, the team uncovered a hidden underground chamber. Inside, they found a massive door, sealed tightly. But there was something strange about it. Kira's pulse quickened as she studied the ancient symbols etched into the door's surface. They matched the markings from the old story she had heard. This was it. This was the weapon. But just as she moved to open the door, an explosion rocked the ground beneath them. The alien fleet had found them. Their time was running out. Move! Now! Kira shouted as she drew her weapon and prepared to fight. The others followed, but the door to the chamber remained sealed. They had to get inside and fast, or they would be dead before they even had a chance to fight back. With the alien forces closing in, Kira's team fought bravely, holding off the invaders as best as they could. But it was clear that they were outmatched. Kira knew they had to do anything to buy them enough time to open the door. "Get me that access panel," Kira yelled, pointing at a control terminal near the chamber's entrance. Now, one of her team members, Jace, ran to the terminal, hacking into the system with speed and precision. But the countdown clock was ticking. They needed to open the door before the alien fleet arrived in full force. Jace's fingers flew over the controls, but something wasn't right. The system wasn't responding as expected. Every second that passed made the situation more desperate. The aliens were getting closer. The sounds of their ships filled the air, growing louder by the moment. There was no way they could hold them off much longer. "We're running out of time," Jace shouted, sweat pouring down his face. The system's locked. Kira's mind raced. She could feel the weight of the situation pressing on her. If they couldn't get inside that chamber, the weapon would remain hidden and humanity's last hope would be lost. She thought back to the ancient stories she had heard. There had to be something she was missing. She'd heard that the weapon was not just technology. It was alive. It responded to human energy, human presence. It could sense when it was truly needed. With a sense of urgency, Kira stepped forward and placed her hand on the control panel, hoping to unlock the door with her touch. The room seemed to vibrate beneath her fingers, and for a brief moment, everything went silent. Then, the door slid open, revealing the weapon hidden within .it was not like anything Kira had ever seen before. It was massive, like a machine built from living metal. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and as Kira stared at it, she could feel its power raw, unstoppable, and alive. The weapon hummed as if it were waking up from a long slumber. It was as though it had been waiting for this moment to awaken. Without hesitation, Kira stepped forward and activated the weapon. The entire chamber shook with energy as the weapon powered up and a brilliant light filled the room. She turned to face the alien fleet, knowing this would be their last stand. They had awakened the force they needed to fight back. As the weapon fired, a wave of destruction rippled across the sky. The alien fleet, massive and imposing just moments ago, was suddenly no more. The power of the weapon was overwhelming, unstoppable. The invaders never stood a chance. The galaxy would never be the same again. But as Kira watched the enemy fleet disintegrate, she realized the truth. The weapon was not just a tool of war. It was a force of nature, beyond anyone's control. The question now was, what would humanity do with that power? Could they control it, or would it consume them, just as it had consumed their enemies? The galaxy's future was no longer in the hands of the invaders. It was in the hands of humanity. But at what cost? In the distant future, humanity had become a powerful force in the galaxy. No longer the weak, struggling species they had once been, humans now controlled entire star systems and were known for their cunning and resourcefulness. But beneath the surface of their shining empire, a dark secret was brewing, one that could change the course of history forever. Lena Torres was a high-ranking officer in the human fleet, tasked with overseeing the security of one of humanity's most important colonies. She had always believed in the mission humans were destined to rule the stars, to unite the galaxy under one banner. But lately, things had begun to feel off. There were whispers in the shadows, rumors of a hidden agenda, a plan that no one had ever spoken about publicly. Lena had always trusted her superiors, but the more she thought about it, the more she began to question everything. One night, as Lena walked through the quiet halls of the command center, she overheard a conversation that would shake her to her core. Two officers, speaking in hushed tones, were discussing something Lena had never heard of before. They mentioned the protocol in Phase 3. The words were familiar in some way, but their true meaning eluded her. What was the protocol? And why had she never been told about it? Determined to uncover the truth, Lena began her investigation. She dug into the archives, looking for any mention of the protocol. The more she searched, the more she realized how much had been hidden from her. Everything she had been taught, everything she had believed, was beginning to crumble. The truth was out there, buried in layers of secrecy. Late one evening, Lena found what she was looking for. Hidden deep in a classified database, she uncovered the documents detailing the human agenda. It was a plan, carefully crafted over decades, to ensure humanity's dominance over the galaxy. But it wasn't just about conquest. No, the agenda was far more ambitious and far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. The documents revealed that the humans had not only been spreading across the galaxy to claim new territories, but they had been manipulating the balance of power between other species. For years, humanity had been secretly orchestrating wars, fostering conflicts, and creating chaos to weaken the galaxy's other civilizations. The goal was simple: make sure no one could challenge humanity's rule. But that was only the beginning. The protocol was the final phase of the agenda, and it was terrifying. The plan called for the creation of a superweapon, one so powerful it could wipe out entire fleets in the blink of an eye. The weapon would be used to eliminate any threats to humanity's control, ensuring that no force could ever rise up against them again. Lena's mind raced as she read through the documents. How could this be happening? How could her people, the ones she had always believed in, be responsible for such a thing? But there was no denying the evidence. The weapon was real, and it was nearly ready for activation. If it were unleashed, it would devastate entire star systems, and no one would be able to stop it. The more Lena thought about it, the more she realized how deep the conspiracy went. It wasn't just a few rogue officials, it was the entire leadership of humanity. The top brass had known about the protocol for years, and they had been preparing for this moment. The superweapon was just the final piece of the puzzle. Once it was activated, humanity would have complete control over the galaxy. No one could stand in their way. Lena pondered what to do next. She realized that she couldn't let this happen. She couldn't stand by and watch as her people destroyed everything in their path. But the question was, what could she do? She was one person, and the weapon was nearly operational. If she tried to stop it, she would be labeled a traitor, and the consequences would be dire. She decided to act quickly. Lena contacted a small group of trusted allies, people she knew wouldn't turn against her. Together, they devised a plan to infiltrate the facility where the weapon was being built. They had no time to waste. If they didn't act soon, the weapon would be activated, and the galaxy would be changed forever. The mission was dangerous, and Lena knew that the odds were against them. The facility was heavily guarded, and the weapon was protected by layers of security. But they had no choice. They had to stop the protocol before it was too late. The night of the mission, Lena and her team snuck past the security checkpoints, using the shadows to their advantage. But as they approached the final door, something went wrong. An alarm blared, and the facility was immediately locked down. They had been discovered. Go! Lena shouted. I'll hold them off. Her team hesitated, but Lena knew what had to be done. She was the only one who could buy them enough time to reach the weapon and destroy it. With a heavy heart, she turned and began to fight. She fought with everything she had, knowing that this was her only chance to stop the weapon from being activated. But as Lena battled her way through the security forces, she realized something that sent a chill down her spine. The weapon wasn't just a machine. It was a living entity, one that had been created to bond with humanity's DNA. It was programmed to seek out the strongest human. And that human, Lena realized with a sense of horror, was her. The moment she laid her hands on the weapon, it responded to her touch. The energy surged, and Lena felt the power coursing through her veins. She knew what she had to do: destroy the weapon before it could bond with her and take control of the galaxy. But as the power grew stronger, so did the temptation to use it, to wield it for herself. The question was, could she resist? The galaxy's fate was now in her hands.